So today I'm going to show you what's involved to install a tow hitch on your 2016 to 2023 Mazda CX-9. Now what's really cool about this install is this is a factory level OEM install. It is a plug and play install, meaning there's no splicing of wires, and all these vehicles came pre-wired from the factory for a tow hitch. Even if your vehicle didn't have a tow package from the factory, it still had the wiring in there, and all that you need to do is actually mount the hitch itself to the vehicle, which I will show you where that goes, and I'll also show you where all of the wiring needs to be routed, as well as the module, the OEM, not a aftermarket module, but the OEM Mazda module, and where that will plug in to all of the factory wiring. So I will remove all of the interior panels and show you where that needs to go. So this will be a little different than some of my videos because, as you can see, there is already a hitch, mounted on the vehicle, and that's because I did this prior to starting my YouTube channel. So this won't be a true step-by-step install, but it will be a very thorough overview. So this is the front page, guys, of the installation instructions when you buy the Mazda OEM harness kit. They give you zip ties, that grommet, some foam tape, and the main module and the wiring harness. And it's really a pretty simple kit, guys, and they give you great installation instructions, but I will show you exactly what you need to do here. And again, these kits can be had for pretty darn cheap, as low as like $50, guys. So I don't know why you wouldn't go this route rather than a aftermarket. All right, so here's the hitch mounted, guys, on the vehicle. I think it actually looks great. From here, you can't see the main bar or any part of the hitch. All you see is the plugs down here and the 2-inch receiver. Now this is a Draw-Tite brand hitch. There's the the factory Mazda hitch. There's a lot of different brands that you can choose. I chose this one because it has this nice little mounting bracket that is welded onto the actual hitch, which is great because the factory Mazda wiring, guys, even if you have a tow package from Mazda, all it's gonna have is this little 4-pin end to it, which works great for like a simple, boat trailer or something like that. But what we normally tow is we tow our little pop-up camper, and that takes the 7-pin here. So this is just an adapter. There's all sorts of different ones that you can buy online. This is an adapter that we plugged into the factory Mazda wiring, which is up top here. If you can see back here, it's kind of like right back in here. And then I kind of zip tied it back in there so it's all nice and neat. There's a better view from there. Whatever hitch you choose, there's class 2, there's class 3 hitches, and they're all rated for different weight, but none of them will change the maximum amount that you can tow. These CX-9s are rated for 3,500 pounds towing, and whatever hitch you choose will not change that. So there's the Draw-Tite brand. There is the part number right there. Now this is where it's mounted, guys, to the chassis of the vehicle. So there's these 2 big bolts on each side, and that is all that mounts this to the chassis of the vehicle. Now these are super heavy duty bolts. All you have to do, so there is no drilling of holes to mount this hitch, guys, and pretty much all the hitches use these pre-existing holes on the chassis of your vehicle. So you don't need to drill new holes. All you do is you take a tool called a fish wire, which is like a little piece of spring that's like coiled around the threads on these bolts. And then down here on the end, you may not be able to see, but down here, way down here on the end, it is actually open, and you can feed the bolts through there and then grab the wire and then pull this bolt through the hole. And there's a big, head on the bolt and a washer, which will stop it from falling through that hole. So then you just have to get the actual hitch up in here and then thread on these bolts, and then you have to have them torqued down to the proper value, of course. Now you can do this job solo, guys. Obviously a second set of hands would help, but what I did was I used a floor jack to kind of help the hitch be balanced on there while I got one of these started. And then once you get 1 or 2 bolts started, then it's pretty easy. Here's kind of a view of the structure of the hitch here. You can see that front little mounting bolt there. Structure of the hitch here. all the way there. That's the, you know, adapter and the wiring tucked up in there. Now all you have to do here is there is a little piece of trim under here on the factory rear bumper here that you do have to remove. Now you can reinstall it if you so choose, but you will have to trim it because it won't fit with the, you know, frame and all that here. I just chose to leave it off because it doesn't really, you know, do much at this point anyway. But here's where the factory wiring is, guys. So basically, you know, plugs in here. I have it back there. If you can see that black tube, that's the, you know, the insulation there, goes all the way around here, comes, so that's your rear exhaust there, comes out here, you can see here, follow it up here, and then this is where it actually goes into your vehicle here. So this is your driver's side rear tire here, and this is where it goes into the vehicle here. So this is a factory harness here that you don't have to touch, that's there already. This is it. This is the, so when you buy the Mazda OEM wiring harness kit, this is where you'll route it from the rear hitch through here. There's a factory rubber plug here, that's all there is, and there is already a pre-drilled hole here, so again, you don't have to drill the hole, and they will give you a grommet that has a hole in it in the kit. So you install that grommet and you feed this wiring through to the interior of your vehicle, and then I will show you that next. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to take out all the interior trim pieces and where the wiring harness goes and what you need to do an OEM level install. If you have a cargo mat, now's the time to take that out. So now you want to remove what they call the upper deck panel here. You just lift on that and it comes right out. And then down here's a little storage compartment area. This is the lower deck panel. So now you can see the spare tire down there, and then over here on the left side there's another little trim piece. Literally just lift that out. Same over here on the right hand side. Over here on the passenger side, you can just lift out that plastic compartment, and here you can see your spare tire jack. You just have to unscrew that with this little bolt here. It comes right out. Okay, so now to remove the support for the passenger side storage compartment there. If you look down in there, there's those three little white clips, and as you can see, this turns in different directions. So it slides back here, goes that way for this one, and it pulls back for this one to release those clips. So I'll kind of show you how that's done here. Kind of push that one back right there. You can get it up and over, so that one's off. Now you can slide this one back. Oops. Okay, well, there you go. There's the bottom. As you can see, it's all oriented in a different way. And then the same sort of thing over here on the driver's side, but these clips are kind of hidden. If you can see down there, there's those two white ones. There is also a third one that's kind of like back here. So I'll sort of show you how to take that out. Again, same sort of thing. You're just trying to clear one at a time. There you go, lift. And now these other two tabs, so they kind of came out with the piece. They're stuck in there. You can just go ahead and take those out if you want, and you can stick them back in. They're pretty easy to pop right back into their holes. So once the side compartments are out, this is what you're left with, just the little clips in there. And then this little threshold piece, as they call it, can just lift out. So you just gotta lift up firmly on the threshold piece, and it's kind of like tucked underneath this little foam seal, but if you're gentle, it'll slide right out of there easily. So there you go. It's just a bunch of this style clips that go right along here. So now the only piece left to get out is this entire trim piece here. This is all one unit. All this right here, all the way over to here. So the first thing to do is right down here, there's a little clip. You can literally just press it up from the bottom, and then that's loose there. It's just that style pin right there. And then now you'll see these little cargo net holders or clips. You just have to lift those up. And there's a 10mm bolt underneath. So there's one right there, and then there's one back here as well. So this also has a 10mm bolt. And then right over here, by the third row, there's also one here. So we have to take out those 3. Now with these style clips here, all I do is I pull down this little metal part, right? And then you just have to pull down from the top, this piece here. You really can't just grab it and pull it out because there's little plastic tabs that sort of hold it in there. So what I do is I take like a small little flathead or something, just kind of get it in there and then gently pry so we're not damaging anything. If you want to use a little bit larger flathead, but you know, the whole key here is just to be careful. Once you get one of the tips out, it's really easy. There we go, almost got it. There we go. Okay, so now that just kind of pulls down. And there's your little 10 mil bolt. I'm just gonna use my socket to quickly get that out. That's what the bolts are like. Same style bolts on all 3 spots. And then for this one, you'll probably want to lift this rear seat to gain access to it. Okay, so now you want to come over here to your rear passenger side and just slide the second row seat forward. Now we just want to lift up on this trim piece here, just kind of firmly lift up. Come all the way down, it comes off just like that. And then we're actually going to pull back this little seal here all the way along here, up top here. So all that is free. And then see these little clips down here? Just so we don't forget, we're just going to kind of put those over on this side so we don't pull on those later and maybe tear them. Same thing here. Now these do just pull out, so you can go ahead and there's literally just a little pin thing right there that goes in that hole. So once the 10 mil bolts out, you can just pull that out. All right, now we're gonna again use a kind of a smaller flathead screwdriver just to pop off these little covers right here. And those are both going to reveal a Phillips head. Okay, so now you can go ahead and lower your seat back down again. And all that is holding this whole piece on now is the plug on the back side of here. Now we just want to come along here and we're just gonna pull. There's about 3 little clip points on here that we're gonna pull out starting from this end, and that's gonna give us access to that plug. So there's one that just go ahead and fell out. There's 2, there's 3. All right, there you go. And there's kind of a 4th one back here that I pulled out a little bit. Okay, so now you should be able to reach back. I won't be able to film this part, but you should be able to reach back in there and get that plug. And now you got to clear these seat belts. So I'm going to pull the seat belt out and kind of bring it around the back side here so it's not in the way. And then with this rear seat still folded down in the 3rd row, we're going to kind of come out to clear this side here a little bit, but then we're going to kind of push this whole panel forward to get this side part out here. So let me see if I can carefully do that and show you. Okay, the entire thing's free now. And the only thing to really be careful about here is clearing this plug on the back bit there. But once that's clear, and then once the seat belt in the 2nd row is clear, make sure that the seat belt here is also clear down here. Bring it all the way around the end of this trim piece so it doesn't snag on that. All right, see how that's back here now? So that's not in the way. And then obviously this little clip kind of goes in here, so make sure that's out and everything's clear there. Then we can just finish kind of pushing this forward gently and getting it out of there. There you go, the whole thing's free. Here's that plug for the 12 volt outlet. And so when you're like bringing it out, you just have to make sure that that clears kind of this little corner here. And then here's the plug to that little 12-volt supply. All you gotta do is you press down here and pull out. First time that you do it, this might be really stiff, so you might need to put like a flathead screwdriver on here. This is what it looks like when you have all of the panels out. This is all you need to remove to install this wiring harness. So if you start over here on the driver's side, this is where the harness comes through the floor of the car. So what you'll find here is a factory plug, just a solid like rubber plug. And then this plug here, or this, grommet here that has a hole in it, comes in the kit. And so you take out the factory plug, you install this one, and then you feed the wiring harness through it. This is the hardest part of the whole job, guys. It's a super tight fit. You have to pull really hard on this to get it through this grommet. Just go slowly, work it. Try not to damage this, right? So that's by far the most difficult part of the whole job. And then you just route it all the way around here and you zip tie it to the main harness. So this big harness here, this is, one of the factory harnesses. And then the small wire here is part of the kit, part of the trailer harness kit. So you literally just zip tie it, follow it along here all the way to the module. There's a little plug right here, and that plug goes straight to the module. This is a foam that comes in the kit just to keep this from, I think making noise or rattling. This just uses double-sided tape to stick on here. This little clip, also comes in the kit. Same thing, just uses tape to stick on there and just kind of keep this wiring harness in place. And then this is where you plug the module harness into the factory wiring. So when you take off this side panel and you haven't installed your module yet, or your main harness, this guy, this plug will be there, but it won't have anything going to it. So this is where you do it. This is where the factory wiring, pre-wiring for a Hitch kit is. And that's why this whole job is so simple, and it's a plug and play job. So that's it. You just have to plug it in here, mount this here, plug in that there, zip tie the harness along all the factory wiring all the way to here, swap out this grommet for the factory plug, and then obviously route the wiring harness underneath the way that you want, and you are done. So now I'll show you how to put all the panels back in. Getting this side panel back in is a little tricky, mostly because you're trying to squeeze it down in between here. So since we pushed it forward to get it out, we're gonna kind of start that way to get it back in. So I'm gonna orient it roughly where it needs to go. Now the seat belt here, you've got to pull it around the end to clear this, so that's not in the way. So just kind of put that through there for now, and I'm going to gently line it up. Okay, careful not to scratch up here too bad or anything. Just go careful and you should be all right. All right, so you see how it's not lined up yet perfectly, but down here we kind of cleared that a little bit, kind of got it, tucked down in there. So we're close. Okay, so I haven't actually snapped in anything yet, but as you can see, it's more or less lined up along there. If you want to double check, you see your holes in there if they're lined up. Make sure there's a little white tab right there. See that white tab? It's got to go in the hole right here. So make sure that's lined up so you don't snap that off. And then all these 3 tabs here, just make sure they clear this lip. So they're kind of on that lip like that. There we go. So those are perfect. Okay. All right, so now you just plug that back in, snaps in like that. All right, and now you can make sure that everything is back in. It lines itself up pretty good. If you really focus on this top line here, and then make sure you get this around that right there, around the jack mount. And there's a couple white tabs over here. Pop those in. Pop that in. all the way around. And then just go along here, make sure this seal kind of overlaps the plastic piece here, because that's the way it was originally. You can just do it with your fingers, it's pretty easy. Come all the way around here, like that. And then we can reinstall our little pin that goes right here. Now we just want to reinstall our two Phillips head screws. Don't forget to reinstall your two little plastic covers. Now we're going to reinstall our little cargo net tie downs. And again, when these ones go in, so the little metal part flips down like that. So I'm just going to put in the little nipple or whatever you call it in that guide hole like that. Start this by hand, make sure it's not cross-threaded. It's good. And we just press the little plastic part up in there until it kind of clicks shut. And there you go. There's your little tie down. Now we just need to reinstall the seal here. You just have to put the little groove part down here on that little metal rim there, ridge. You just need to make sure the seal's on there nice and firm all the way around. And then the last part is to put on this little trim piece here. Goes on like that. It's pretty easy. You don't have to press down hard at all. You pretty much find where it goes. There we go. Just snaps down. That part goes along the groove there. Oh, almost forgot. You need to put the 10mm back in here too, guys. Alright, so now we just got to put in our storage compartment pieces here. So again, this one is going to go like this. Alright, so again, here's all three of these, right? So they all kind of slide on a different way. So I'll see if I can film that here. So I start with the one on the end here in the corner. See if I can slide that under there. See how that's under there? Alright, now we can do this one here. Kind of pull it back a little bit, slide it under there, push it forward. So now these two are locked in, and then you just have this one back here. You can kind of torque it just enough to clear that and get it in like that. Now we're going to reinstall our jack with the screw. So you kind of place the jack, this backside, just to the left of this little L-shape support right there, and line up your screw hole. Set it on by hand. There we go. And just snug it down enough. It doesn't need to be crazy tight, but you just don't want the jack to rattle around. And then we're taking this piece here, and we're just gonna set it down on top there. Super easy. Literally just sets on top. Alright, now for the driver's side cargo bin. And again, it's got these three clips on the bottom here. This one is a little more tricky than the passenger side, again, because it kind of has that hidden one in the center. So if it's easier for you, you could actually, pre-install one or like two of these and see if that would work better. But I'm going to try to slide it onto the one in the farthest left first, and then get these two on the right. Now, I think the one on the left's in. I really can't see it, so I can't tell super easily, but I believe it's in over there. And I'll show you that these two are in there. So, if I give this a little tug, it's in there. Alright, now we need to reinstall this threshold trim piece. And you know what? I actually should have installed this before I put in the side compartments. But I think there's enough room for me to slide it kind of underneath here and get everything lined up. There we go. Okay, so just kind of slide under there, line them all up, then just press down. These ones don't really make a snap sound, but you'll know that they're in there because if you give it a little tug, you know, it feels like it's in there. So just go along, press it all down. Now I can reinstall this one. Let's just set it right there. And same thing here, we just want to take our fingers and go along here. So that rubber kind of goes to the outside. Alright, stick the lower deck panel back in. And the little upper deck panel right there. And then the two side pieces. The little tabs here just kind of slide underneath, so put those in first. Go ahead and press them down. And you're done, guys. All right, there you go. Now you got everything back in place. It looks perfect. It looks beautiful. You'd never known that somebody just installed a wiring harness back there. Nice OEM level install. And you guys are ready to tow some stuff around. Hope this helped, guys. Remember to do it yourself.